I have 23,000 contacts, and it's all open. So all you have to do is create a profile on LinkedIn, become my friend, and then use my 23,000 contacts. Lots and lots of successful business people, government people, ministers, kings, whatever. Through me, you can send them messages. Just don't bother me. Use it through me, go through all of them. Does it make sense? And as you go there, you will see I have spent time to put a complete profile on LinkedIn. Why is that? As you achieve so much, LinkedIn becomes your dynamic resume. And that's a very key thing, because when you do good work, if you want to talk to somebody you never met before, you don't want to go and say, I'm so good, I was the best student, I got the greatest grade, you know. They might say, oh, come on, why are you boasting? But if you put it on your resume on LinkedIn with some picture, you're receiving an award or something, or your grades, or your jobs, or your letters of recommendation, you put it there, then you just send the LinkedIn to anybody without having to say who you are. They look at it and say, wow, this person is very smart and got nice scholarship, got nice award, got nice references. It becomes simple to introduce yourself. And as your network grows, you can use it to communicate with anybody. Last July, I was going to Lagos, Nigeria. I'd never been there. They invited me to give a talk in front of 1,000 young people in a conference called Tech Plus. So I used LinkedIn and Facebook. I said, I'm coming to Lagos. If you want, come and we'll talk. How many people you think came? Make a guess.
1,000.
10,000. 10,000 people came. I lost my voice. I gave so many speeches and I had no more energy. 4 days, continuously gave talks. So it's a very powerful way to get businesses to find jobs, to find partners for your business, to find customers, to find ways to make money, to find ways to do interesting projects. It's very powerful. Now, Facebook is very good for social types of things that, you go to my Facebook account, if you follow me, you see every week I'm in a different country talking to different things, you see the pictures. By the way, we should all take a group picture also, put it on Facebook and tag each other so everybody can see. But why is all of these things important? Why do I come and here to talk with you? And why do you guys come in here on a Saturday afternoon? Instead of going to a nice beach, it's so nearby, you come to listen to an old man giving a talk.
To get inspired.
To get inspired. Yes, you are going to inspire me. That's why I come here. Okay, I will tell you a story. When I was 8 years old, I was born in Iran. Everybody knows what Iran is? Tehran. I was born in Tehran. And somehow, I had this idea that I'm going to go and help create peace in the world. Don't tell me how the idea came from, but I believed in that. So when I would sit in the gatherings of the family, my parents, my cousins, my brother, sister, I would tell them, why are you wasting time to just gossip and talk? They said, what do you want us to do? I said, go and change the world. And my parents were saying, you're only 8 years old, shut up, just finish your dinner. Why do you want? I said, I want to go and change the world. When I was 17, you know, I was suffering from ADD. How many of you know what ADD is? It's attention disorder, meaning I didn't like to sit in the classroom. I would get a little bit too, how should I say, nervous or unhappy or bored. So I would make noise, the teacher would kick me out, and I had bad grades. So I graduated from high school with my GPA was C+. But I told my parents, I'm going to America, because I want to go and change the world. And my parents said, how are you going to go to America? Nobody in our family has gone to America. This is more than 40 years ago, 50 years ago. And I said, I'm going to go. And they said, how will you have money? I said, I don't care, I will find some money, I will work. And they said, what are you going to do? I said, I will go to university, American university. They said, your grade is not very good. How do you get accepted? I said, I applied to many of them. So, I did it. And when I went to America, I asked them, do I need to come in the classroom? Because I learned about myself. When I was sitting in classroom, I would get bored, make too much noise. It was illness, you know, it's not good. So they said, talk to the teacher. In America, if you study and pass the test, maybe you don't need to sit in the classroom. So I said, this is good to the university. So guess what? When I was 20 years old, I had 2 bachelor's degrees. One in computer science and one in mathematics. Why? I was working also full-time. In what was I doing first year? I worked in lumber yard. You know, big trees, big wood, you go pick it up, try to move it around. That's how I became quite heavy. Lots of muscle. Of course, fat also, but the fat is covering all the muscle. But I promise you, I have a 6-pack underneath this. You just don't see it. It's big belly covering it because I don't want you to take my pictures of my 6-pack, you know. But 20 years old, I had 2 bachelor degrees. One in mathematics, one in computer science. Then I went to get my master's degree. And here I was really lucky. I didn't know. The school accepted me to get my master's was University of Utah, where computer graphics was invented. How many of you know about Atari video game? Nolan Bushnell did his bachelor's degree and invented the first video game called Pong at the University of Utah. How many of you have heard of Pixar? The movies Pixar. Ed Catmull, CEO of Pixar, he did his PhD at University of Utah. How many of you have heard of a company called Adobe? John Warnock is an extremely smart guy. Did his PhD, invented Warnock algorithm and all the things which was the basics of Adobe at the University of Utah. In the 1970s, before any of you in this room were born probably, if you wanted to study computer graphics, that was the place to be. And by accident, I ended up there. I didn't even know what was computer graphics. But universe works in strange ways. I studied computer graphics. I was 21 years old. I got my master's degree. All of these people I told you were much older than me. 5 years, 10 years, 15 years older than me. But I was a kid, and I was always smiling. So there are many people look at my university, I know computer graphics, they wanted to hire me. So I ended up in Silicon Valley. Everybody knows where Silicon Valley is, right? South of San Francisco. I worked at a company called HP, Hewlett Packard. You all know, right? Yes. I worked in Palo Alto, next to Stanford University, and at corporate engineering labs. So this was a very special organization, and I was lucky. They hired me to go and work there. Now, I was so intimidated because all of the best, smartest people were in there, and I was a young boy going there, and I didn't know very much. And the people in my team were 5 ladies who were all better engineers than me, much smarter, and older than me, more experienced. So I was a young boy who didn't know much, who wasn't as good, and this was quite a bit difficult for me because in the university I was kind of like the boss because I'd learned so much. I come to Silicon Valley and I'm a little boy and everyone says, okay, you don't know much, go and learn, study. So it was quite interesting for me to learn a lot. But these ladies were very kind to me, they were amazing engineers, they taught me many things, and in less than a year I decided I have to go and become a manager. By this time, I'm 25 years old, I want to be a manager. And I went to my boss, who was about 35, and I said, boss, how did you get to be my boss? I want to be like you. He said, but you're only 25 years old. I said, so? I want to be the boss. He said, I worked for 5 years at HP before I became a manager. I said, that's too long. I want to be boss now. So I went to his boss, and he was about, I don't know, maybe 50 years old. And I said, hey, how did you get to be boss? He said, I had to wait 6 years to get the first. HP must be 1,000 years old or 2,000 years old, you know, how could this be possible? So I looked at the corporate brochure and I saw pictures of many old men. They looked like they were 1,000 years old or something. And there was one person who was senior vice president, and he looked young. He looked like he was 40-some years old. He didn't look like 80 years old or 7 years. I said, he has the answer. How is he so young and so powerful? Senior vice president. So, his name was Doug, I've even forgotten his name, Kmran or something like that. So, I called up his office and I said, hello, I want to talk to Doug Kmran. They said, do you have appointment? I said, no, I just want to talk with him for a few minutes. They said, does he know you? I said, no, but I think he would enjoy meeting me. And the secretary said, I will tell him. If he's interested, we'll call you. So, okay. So I waited 1 day, 2 days, nobody called me. So I called him again. I said, hello, I want to have a meeting with you. Same question, same thing. We'll let him know If he's interested, he will call you. Waited 1 more day, 2 more days. Same thing. I did this every day. Called up and said, I'm so-and-so. I want to meet with Senior Vice President at HP. And every day they said, you don't have appointment, does he know you? Answer is no. So nothing happened. So I'm failing, right? When you see you're failing, you have to change strategy. This is called out-of-the-box thinking. Don't think like everyone else. So I notice in corporate brochures, HP talks about open policy, employee management, open communications. They refer to it as open door policy, meaning the boss, his door is not closed, anybody can go. Interesting. For 1 month I'm trying to go and nobody sees me. So I called up again and I said, I want to, I have no idea, his name was Doc Chance. So I want to meet with Doc Chance. And the secretary said, do you have an appointment? I said, no. Does he know you? I said, no. He says, you cannot see. I said, yeah, but I was just looking at HP's corporate material and it says open door policy. Please tell Doc Chance that this is all bullshit and the door is closed. And I hung up. 2 minutes later, the phone rings. I pick up the phone, it says, hello, this is Doc Chance. I understand you wanted to talk with me. I said, yes. He says, okay. I said, can I see you? He says, sure. So he invites me to go to his office. So he says, how can I help you? I said, I want to be manager. Everybody is so old, you look young. I want to learn from you. What should I do to move up fast? He said, the fact that you are only 25 and you are sitting here talking with me, it says that you are on the fast track because regular engineer never sees me. I said, okay. He says, I will help you. So we became friends. I started to study. How many of you know about chip design? How many of you have ever studied how to design a chip or know what is the job that a chip designer does? You know, every phone you have has a chip inside it. It's the brain, right? At that time, in 1978-79, there were less than 1,000 chip engineers in the whole world. Less than 1,000 knew how to design a chip. It was like magic. And I looked at HP, big company, we had about 30,000 employees. Majority of our engineers were software engineers, system engineers. How many chip engineers we had? Less than 50. So I thought, why is it that nobody knows how to design chips? So I called up one of my friends, an amazing professor at Stanford. His name was Jim Clark. Anybody has heard of Jim Clark? He was a professor, then he became founder of a company called Silicon Graphics, and then he became chairman of Netscape. Netscape was a very famous company before Yahoo, before Google, all of this was a very famous company. He became chairman of that later on. Where do you think Jim received his PhD? University of Utah. So I'm a young boy. He was very smart. I called him up. He's professor at Stanford. I said, Jim, how does somebody become a chip engineer? I'm a software engineer. I know computer graphics. I want to learn chip engineering. In those days, it was very difficult. He said, come to Stanford, I introduce you to some professors, they will teach you chip design. So I went and I learned to design chips. No, Stanford is very expensive. I didn't have money to pay, and I needed to work. So I had to convince HP to pay for me to go to Stanford to study chip design. So I went to the senior vice president, Dr. Chance. I said, I have an idea. There are these professors who they say in Stanford, they can teach. If this is true, in HP we have 30,000 engineers. We can make them become chip engineers. We can design chips. HP would be much ahead of everyone else. He liked the idea. I said, if you give me time off, so I work part-time, but give me full-time salary and pay the expensive tuition to Stanford, I go and study, and you can have a cameraman to follow me, to take pictures, so we create a course so other engineers can watch, and we get many engineers become chip engineers. He really liked this, says this is a good idea. I said, if you really like it, also give me a raise. So, imagine this. I work part-time, they pay very expensive tuition, they also give me a raise because I came up with a crazy idea. So I go to Stanford, the professors say, any software engineer, system engineer can become chip engineer. So I took the class, I studied very hard, I learned everything, I designed the chip got fabricated, came back. Anybody knows what happened to the chip? Did it work?
No.
She's right. It did not work. Now, talk about failure. How do you tell your boss or his boss or all these people that you spend so much money on me, you gave me a raise, I went and did this, and the chip is not working. So I went to the professors. I said, you told me any system engineer, software engineer, can be a good chip engineer. Why is my chip not working? The professor said, good software engineer, you are not so good. I'm thinking, my God, what do I tell my boss? So, always when there is a big failure, if you think out of the box, smart person comes up with an answer. So I went to my boss and I said, I have good news and I have some bad news. My boss knows me. He says, what's the bad news? I said, the bad news is the chip is not working. He said, oh my God, I have to fire you, they will fire me, we spend so much money, the camera, everything, I can't lie, you know. It's all on the video camera that day. The chip is not working. I said, but wait, there is good news. He says, what's the good news? I said, do you know what the chip is not working? He said, no. I said, because HP makes good computers, you give me $500,000 budget, $500,000 budget. I hire from other groups best engineers, and we develop a new engineering workstation that does chip design a new way, with a lot of analysis, a lot of simulation, so the chips would work. And this is multi-billion-dollar idea. And one minor thing, you also need to give me a raise because I have a good idea. He said, no. I said, what do you mean no? He says, no. By this time I'm 26 years old. He said, no. I said, if you don't give me this money, I select the best engineers, I go and start our own company, and you will miss on this big opportunity. He said, do whatever you want. You're the youngest person in this company, nobody will follow you. And do whatever you want. So I went and I talked to some engineers. They said, this is a good idea. So let's leave. So all of us came and gave resignation. The engineers asked me, how do we get money? I said, don't worry, we are so smart. We are from HP, we have so many good things, whatever. Many investors will give us money. They believe me. I spoke with so much confidence. They all follow me. So my boss is very angry with me. I'm taking good engineers, we are leaving. His boss's boss doesn't want me to leave, doesn't want us to leave. He says, let's go meet, have lunch together. So he took me to a Chinese restaurant. And while we are having lunch, he gave me some statistics. He said that, do you know 50% of companies in Silicon Valley die in 1 year? I said, no, I didn't know that. He said, do you know 90% of the companies in Silicon Valley die after 5 years? I said, I didn't know that. He said, do you think I'm smart? I said, yes, you are very smart because you have a few thousand engineers working for you. He said, I tried to start a company twice, and each time I failed. Do you think you're smarter than me, that you want to leave? And you're taking all these engineers, destroying so many lives? I started to feel really bad. I said, no, I'm not smarter than you. And maybe this is a stupid idea. Maybe I shouldn't leave HP. HP is a nice company, paid for my education. Maybe I should stay. So I'm thinking, then something very strange happened. What do they give you in Chinese restaurant? Fortune cookies, exactly. So they bring us fortune cookie. Everybody knows what's fortune cookie? Yes. So I read my fortune cookie, and it's so funny, I'm laughing. And he says, what does it say? I say, I cannot tell you, it's very embarrassing. He said, I want to know, what does it say? I said, it's very embarrassing. He says, come on, let me read. So I gave him my fortune cookie, and he reads it. Do you know what it said? It said, do not listen to him. You will be successful. He read this, and he said, I better shut up, this is unbelievable. Where did you get this fortune cookie? So I said, is God or universe talking to me? I should follow. He says, I agree, go. Don't listen to me, go. So I picked up, called up my engineers, we all left. This was June of 1980. And we are so excited that we are all leaving. I'm 26 years old. All my engineers are older than me. We are all so smart, so good. This was 1980. Do you know when Iranian Revolution happened?
1979.
1979. He's very smart. Knows that. You know, very humble also. He's very humble also. Like me, I'm very humble. So, 1980, you're a young boy, 26 years old, from Iran. What happened after Iranian Revolution? Anybody knows?
They took custody of U.S. embassy.
Yes, they took American embassy. Wow.
And
Very
then you've
impressive.
gone for the war with Iraq from like 80s.
That was later on, but at 1979, they took U.S. ambassador, many other people hostage.
Yeah.
Now imagine, you're 26 years old, we needed to raise money. We calculated how much money we need, and I put all my engineers together, we did calculation, we figured out we needed $732,000, 486 and 32 cents. We were such accurate engineers, we calculated up to the penny. And I told everybody, we are so smart, many investors will come and give us money. So 1 month passed, we tried to find investors. Where are these investors? We had heard there were some people called venture capitalists. We just couldn't find them because we didn't have Google, we didn't have Yahoo, we couldn't search. So I went to library. In library, we used to have these things called yellow pages, books that would list all the businesses. I looked for V for venture capital, no listing. I said, who are these people? I heard they exist, I read some article about them, but there is no telephone, no address. Where are they? How do you find an investor?
Crunchbase. Crunchbase.
Today we have Crunchbase. Remember that, Crunchbase is very good. In those days, we didn't have internet, let alone Crunchbase. How do you find investors? Anybody?
You post on newspapers, networking events.
One answer is you post on newspapers. Do you think venture capitalists would respond? I would say, hey, I'm Kamran, I'm from Iran. Honestly, I didn't take anybody hostage. I want $732,486.32. Please give me money. Do you think some investor would read that and give me money? Or come and meet with me? So, what do we do? Any other ideas?
Google.
We call the newspaper.
We didn't have Google at that time.
We call the newspaper.
We call newspaper, okay, and
Because they wrote an article about the venture, about the company, so you...
she has a good point. I didn't think of that. She says, good lady, smart. She's gonna go somewhere. You know, go and meet with Doc Chance, you know. She's smart. I could have called the newspaper and say, you wrote some article about Sequoia Capital, which was wrong, Kleiner Perkins. What are they? Where is their office? I could. I didn't think of that.
I don't think they would give you the information.
Maybe they would, maybe not. But the question is, would you even, if you called up newspaper, would they answer and talk with you? How do you convince them to even talk with you before? Maybe it works, I don't know. What I thought was, there are some gatherings like this that some famous entrepreneur or some famous investors would come and give a talk. Why not go and sit there? In the gathering, I see who is there. If there is another person I talk with them and say, did you get money? Did you get investment? I ask them, did you get venture capital? Who gave you money? Introduce me to them. That's called networking. And that's why, again, today, Google is good, LinkedIn is good, you can go and Crunchbase is great, you can go and use them for virtual networking, figuring out who knows who in what situation. And that is a huge secret to success, is figuring out who is connected to whom, who knows who, and go and get them to introduce you to this one or that one, and eventually you find the investors. So the first meeting I had with investors was about 2 months later. I met with him and I asked him, why don't you advertise? Why are you secret? Why don't you put your telephone number, whatever, in some directory? You know what he answered?
The people who want it hard enough will find them.
God, she's very smart. What's your name?
Marilyn.
Marilyn. Very smart lady. They said, hey, if you cannot find us, we don't want to give you money. Because if you can't find us, how can you find customers? How can you find employees? How can you grow your company? This is the first test. You have to learn to network, to find things. You know, one time I advised now many governments, and I also advise World Bank on how to create innovation economy. In one of the countries, Minister of Education came and asked me, you know so much about education, about teaching new things, tell us how we should change our educational system. You know what I asked him? I said, before I tell you, tell me, how do you test your students? He said, what do you mean? We test them the normal way. I said, do you let the students to bring their friends to help them answer the questions? He said, no, that's cheating. Of course not. If we let them bring their friends, then they cheat, they answer. I said, do you let your students bring their laptops so they can do Google search? He said, no, that's cheating. They do Google search, find out the answers, and they give them. I said, do you let them bring their iPhone or Android phone, mobile phone? Do you have 3G, 4G so they could do search? He says, no, this is stupid. Why do you keep asking me that? We don't want our students to cheat. We want our students to answer the question. I said to him, are you trying to create your students to become a good monk living on top of a mountain with no connection to society and having only access to 10 books or 20 books that they memorize and remember that? That's what a monk does. Or do you want to test them if they can be successful in this society? In this society, I started 10 companies. 10 companies in many different fields. 3 of them failed. I got fired twice. But 6 of them were successful. 6 of them. 3 of them we sold it to another company, 3